what is user defined functions and how we can implement them using Eclipse, and how we can use these functions in our Hive query. So let's first begin with what is user defined functions. User defined functions, we often called it as UDFs. So basically UDFs are the functions, or you can say it's the classes in which we are implementing certain functionality, and using those functionalities we are executing our queries in Hive terminal. So it means we have implemented a functionality, and later on using that jar file of the functionality of the class we are executing them in our Hive terminal. So this is how we are creating our jar file and then use in the same jar file in our Hive terminal. So in this session we are going to see step by step information how we can create the jar and how we can implement the user defined functions in Hive. So let's first start with a class creation. So this is my Hive class in which I am just creating a small functionality where I am just replacing a particular word with some other word. So in this way we can implement a certain functionality in our Hive in which we can replace a certain keyword with certain other keywords. The main thing in Hive creation, in Hive UDF creation is you just need to import the UDF namespace. I am just creating a text string, like just defining a particular variable and then using the same in the result set. And here I'm just using the inbuilt replace function of the Java and just passing two arguments, that is string 1 and string 2. So the first string is by which you are going to replace the keyword, and the second one is like by which keyword you are going to replace the other keyword, like the source and the destination. So the string 1 is the source keyword and string 2 is the destination keyword, and just results dot set, and I'm just taking this in the rep variable and then just return the result. So this is just a simple class of replace a keyword with certain other keywords. The main thing over here is, as I have already covered, like you have to use the namespace, and if you are not using the jar files of the Hive, then it will give you the error messages. So what you need to do is you need to add all the jar files of the Hive. You can add the jar files using the build path and then configure build path. In the configure build path we have the libraries, and here you can verify I have included all the Hadoop and Hive jar files. So what you can do, if you are just executing the Hive jars, then you need to include only the Hive jar files. So add external jar and then you have to move to the Hive folder. So my Hive is user, local, and then Hive. Inside the Hive I have Apache Hive, then I have the lib folder. Inside the lib folder, whatever jars are available, like these many jars are available in the lib folder, you just need to select all and then just OK. So once you click on the OK, it will automatically include in the libraries section, and you just click on the apply and OK. So the thing is you have to include all the jar files whichever is present in the lib folder of a Hive. Once you click OK, then your error message will go and your class is ready to use. You can just save them and there is no error message. So my class is ready. You just need to export the jar file. You have to create a jar file so that I can use this in a Hive terminal. So to create a jar file, you have to right click on the class file of a Java, then export, and once you click on the export, just expand the Java section and select the jar file and click next. Here you might have different classes, so you have to go to the class which you need to create for a jar file. So my class is hiveudf.java, so I have just selected that, and then you have to pass the location. So let's say I'm just giving a name of what this jar is, hive udf jar file. So I am giving this name so that we can identify in the folder. It is in the home and in the jar folder. My jar file name is hiveudf jar file dot jar, and just finish. So now you can see my jar is already created, so we can verify this in the jar folder. So here is my jar file in the home big data jar file, hiveudf jar file dot jar. So this is how you can create your jar file from a Java class. So next step is to add the jar file in the Hive terminal. So let me open my Hive terminal. So this is my Hive terminal. I have already opened the Hive in this. So the first thing is this: you have to use the database so that you can create your queries. So let me use the database which I have used in earlier sessions, that is testing 10. So use testing 10. So I have used this database. Now you can add your jar file. So let me show you the step-by-step information how to create a jar and how to create the classes in your Hive terminal where you can use your queries. So here I have mentioned all the steps which is needed to create a jar file in Hive. So as you can see, this is my class which I have already created in the Eclipse. So my first step is done. I have already created a class file for the UDF. So I have already built the program. If you save that, it will automatically build, and if there is any error message, then it will throw you the error in the console. You have to rebuild that, and you might get error if you have not added the jar file using the external jar in the build path. So the third step is you have to create the jar file as I have already shown you in the Eclipse. Just click on the export and expand the Java, select the jar file, click next, select the resources like which Java class you wanted for your UDF creation, and then the destination folder as I have already given the jar folder, and then finish. So till here, third step I have already done. So once the jar is created, move to the Hive CLI. So I am already on the my Hive CLI. I have already opened the database which I need to use for my Hive UDF creation. So the next step is I need to add that jar file here in my Hive CLI. So the command is simple. You have to use add jar and the jar path location. So add jar and the jar file location. So I have created the jar with the name of hiveudf jar file.jar. So you just need to use this name. Now you can see I'm just adding with the exact name of the jar file. Add jar and the exact location for that jar path. Now you can see it is added. Added the resources to the class path and then added the resources. So now my jar file is ready to use. So I am done with my fifth step. I have added the jar to the CLI. So the next step is how you can create your table and how you load the data, then only you can use your jar file. So let's create a table first. I have copied this query. Let me use this query here in Hive terminal. create table, Hive UDF table. So let me make this Hive UDF table 1 and I'm just taking a name. I'm taking only here as a one column. I have a name that is a string type and row format delimited by comma. If you don't want, you can remove that. So now you can see my table is created. So the next step is you have to load a data into this table because as of now the data table is empty. If you press select star from Hive UDF table 1, then it will show you nothing because there is nothing in the table. So the next step is you have to load the data. So the command is simple, load data local in path and then the path of the file and then which table you want to load. I wanted to load into Hive data table 1. So let me put this Hive data table 1, that is Hive UDF table 1. So now you can see my data is loaded, loading data to this table. This is my database, this is my table. So testing 10 dot Hive UDF table. Now if you want to verify how if your data is loaded or not, then same command, select star from Hive UDF table 1. So now you can see I have 14 records. Let me verify this in my text file, that is name.txt. I have already created that name.txt and I have 14 names inside my text file and my file is placed here in the home directory and big data and this is my name text file. So I have loaded this file only, home, big data folder and then the name text file. In the similar way I have loaded here using the load command. So my data is loaded. So the next step is let me use my Hive UDF to replace the name in this table. So next step is you have to create a function so that I can use my Hive UDF. So create temporary function and I am creating a replace word. You can create any name. You can create a name with ABC. So there is no way if you want to replace word with other word you can do that. And as Hive UDF is my class, as let me show you again, this is my Hive UDF. So this is my main class by which I have created the jar file. So you have to use the Hive UDF. So create temporary function, replace word as Hive UDF. It displayed OK. So my function is created. So now you can replace your word. So this is my replace word function. The first argument is my column name, that is name, and then I have two argument in my function, that is source which text is to replace and the second one by whom this text is going to replace. So source and then the second one is destination. So I am replacing name 2 with name Ajay. With Hive table 1 is my table which is created. I am pressing enter. So now you can see I have name 2 only one place. So this is replaced by name Ajay. So now here how you can verify that your data is replaced. So this is how you can replace your word with other word in your table using the Hive UDF. So in this session we have seen how you can create your UDF and how you can implement that in your Hive query. So this is the step-by-step information how you can create your Hive UDF. So first you need to create a class. You have to build the program. Then the third step is you have to create a jar file and then on the CLI, I mean on the Hive terminal, you have to add the jar and then you have to create a table, then load the data in that table and using that function whichever is available in your jar file, you have to create a temporary function so that you can replace your keyword, and then you can execute your keyword with your query, and the last you can verify your word is replaced or not. So I have mentioned over here all the 10 steps, the maximum step by which you can create your Hive UDF and you can execute your Hive query by using that UDF. We are going to see one use case in which we have certain queries, and we will see how we can create those queries in our Hive table. In this use case, we have two files. One is for movie and one is for rating. So we have these queries. We have to find out the movies and its rating which is given, and we will see the movie which has rating count by user, and we will see the movie rated that at least once, and user who has rated the movie at least once, and also we will verify the rating against the ID and movie ID and rating against the user ID. So we have two databases, one is for movie and one is for rating, and we will make a join, we will create a join on a two tables, and we will find out our solution for these queries. So let me show you the tables first. I have this CSV file, it has movie ID, it has the title, and it has the genre. So these three values are in movie table, and we have one more data set that is for rating, and it has the user ID and the movie ID and rating and the time of the rating. So here we have the movie ID which is work as a primary key combination. We will create a join using movie ID because movie ID is available in both the tables, and it has user ID and the rating which is given by the user. So there are multiple users like 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the user IDs, and they have given certain ratings as you are seeing in this CSV file. So by using these two data sets, we have to create a tables, and then we have to create the queries so that we get the solution for these questions. So movie and movie rating, movie and its rating count by user, movie that is rated at least once, and user we want who has rated the movie at least once, and the rating against the user ID and then rating against the movie ID. So we have to take an approach where first we have to create a table, then load the data into that table, and after that we will create a query. So let's first create a table, because movie ID has three columns, that is movie ID, title and genre. So let's create a table first. As we know, like create table is used to create a table, that is create table, then the table name, then the schema of your table, row format, delimited field terminated by comma, and then line terminated by new line. Stored as text file, you can put it as text file, or you can remove that well, as it will not hamper your query. So it completely depends on you how you create your table. So let me put enter. I have created this movies table. So if I create a query select star from movies, then it doesn't have any record. So the next step is load a data in this movies table. We have the data that is for the movie, that is movie ID, title and genre. So let's load the data for this, as this data is available in my local path. So let me use this as load data local in path and then the path of the file that is available in my folder and then into table movies. So let me put enter, my data is loaded into movies table. So if I execute my command again, then I have certain records in my table. It has 10,000 records. So the next step is to create the rating table. So let's create a rating table so that we can create a join and fetch the record as per our need. So in the similar manner, we have to create our rating table. So let's take the rating column 4. So create table rating. I am taking all 4 column values, that is user ID, movie ID, rating and date of rating. So this is the data that is available in our file, that is ID, then the movie ID, then the rating, and at the last it is the time of rating. So we have taken all 4 schema. So let's press enter and the table is created successfully. So if you want to describe your table, then DESC rating semicolon enter. So now you can see my table schema is user ID, movie ID, rating and date of rating. So if I execute a command select star from table name, that is rating, then it doesn't have any record. So in a similar manner, how we have loaded the data in movies table, let's load the data in our rating table as well. So the same command executed, load data local in path, then the exact path of your CSV file and into table rating. So you can copy your exact path of your file. My file path is this. So let me see how you can copy. So you right click on that and you take this path and then the rating.csv is the file name. So this is how you can take the exact path of your files. So I have already taken that. So let's execute this query. So now you can see my data is loaded. So select star from rating. So I have executed this query. So my records are displaying. It has the similar number of rows that were available. So it is the same how it is displaying. It is fetched the 1 lakh records. So now our job is to execute our queries for these questions. We want movies and movie rating. So we have to create a join on the rating table on the basis of your movie ID. So let's create a join for this. So let's again come to the Hive terminal and create a query for this. So this is the query to fetch the record from both the tables. So select movie dot m dot movie id. I have created an alias for movie table and movie title. Then the rating, I have created the alias for r movie. M join rating r. R is alias for rating on which thing you want to create your join. I'm creating on the movie id because movie id is available in both the tables. So m dot movie id is equal to r dot movie id, limit of 10, so that only 10 record display. So let's execute this query. So you can put your limit as per your need and it will take the time as per that. So I have queried for this first question to get the records for movie and which has rating in other table. So I'm matching the record for movie ID which has rating as well. So my mapper job is getting executed. So once the mapper executed, then it will execute the reducer and after that it will give me the result of my query. So now you can see it has displayed 10 random record from the table which has rating. So this will show the record which has rating in that particular movie. So this is our first query. So the second query is movie and its rating count by user. So we want in this query that our rating is on the basis of user from the movie table and from the rating table. So in this we have to use the group by clause for the users and we have to take the count of the rating. So let's create a query for this. So this is our query, that is select movie ID, title, and then I have taken the count of the user ID because we want the count of the rating for user ID. From movies, joins, rating. So I am taking a join over here on movie ID, that is m dot movie ID is equal to r dot movie ID, and group by movie ID, movie title or user ID. We can take any number of columns as per our need. So let's execute this query. So our mapper and reducer job executed successfully. Now you can see it has displayed the movie ID, then the movie name, then it has displayed the user ID and then the count for that rating for a user ID. So whatever we need, these 4 columns from my table, it has displayed that. The first one is movie ID, then the movie name, that is movie title, then the user ID who has given that rating and then the count of that rating. So this is at least given by 1. So now you can see how it is executed using this query. So our third task is we have to get the movies rated at least once. We want at least our movie rating is given by any user at least once. So let's see this in our Hive. So this is our terminal. Let's remove the query previously which we have executed and let's take a new query for our third step, our third question. So this is our query, that is select movie ID and then we want the count of a rating as total, that is total count of a rating. Then movie joins the rating on movie ID based on the movie ID which is available in both the tables. Then group by movie ID. So by using this, it will give me the record if movie has rated at least once in this data table. So now you can see my mapper and reducer job executed successfully and my query returned the result. In this query, I had written that I want movie ID and then total count of the rating for particular movie. So the movie ID is 1 is rated by 232 times, 2 is rated by 92 times. So this query results the movies which is rated at least once, and I have taken that total count, like how many times this movie has rated. So by using this query, you can get your result if movie is rated at least once in this table. So we have completed our 3 questions in this session. In this session, we are going to cover the last 3 questions for our Hive use case. So we have covered our first 3 questions in our last session. So let's cover the next 3 questions in this session. So our next task is we wanted user who has rated the movie at least once. So we want the count of the user rating that is greater than or equal to 1. As in the previous session, we have already created the table. So no need to create our table. We have already created the table for the movies and rating. And let's execute this query to get the result where rating is given by the user at least once. So this is our query, like where we wanted user ID, then we wanted the count of a rating, because on this only we will take greater than or equal to 1 from rating table, that is group by user ID having count rating greater than or equal to 1. So we wanted the records where the rating is at least given by 1 time, and limit 5 we wanted only 5 records from the table. So let's execute this query and we will see the result. So our mapper job is executed successfully and it has started the reducer job, and my reducer job is also completed successfully. Now you can see the user ID and the rating. So now as per my query, I wanted the user ID and then count of the rating. So rating count should be greater than or equal to 1, because I wanted the result where the rating is given at least once for particular movie. So movie ID 1, that is movie 1, rating is given by 113 times. The second movie is given rating by 29 times. The third movie is 73 times. The fourth movie is 124 times. And the fifth one is 68 times. So my query is executed successfully and give me the exact result where the movie is rated at least once, where the count is greater than or equal to 1. So our fourth query is executed successfully. So my fifth query is rating against the user ID. I wanted the ratings against the user ID. So both the things I wanted from movie table and from the user table, and it would be used with join movie ID because movie ID is available in both the tables. So let's see how we can get this result. So let's clear this again query, the previous one, and let's take this query. So this is my query where I have taken the user ID and then the ratings, maximum, minimum, average, anything. Like we can take any rating from movies. I have joined rating from movie ID basis and then group by user ID. So it will give me the result for rating against the user ID with maximum, minimum or average values. So let's execute this query. So my mapper job is executed. Now it will execute my reducer's job, and once the mapper and reducer job both executed successfully, then it will give us the result for my query. So this is my movie ID, and then the maximum, then the minimum, and then the average rating is given. So this is how you can get the result for your user ID and then the rating. So our fifth query was rating against the user ID. In the vice versa case, now I wanted rating against the movie ID. So let's create this query. So this is my query in the similar manner. In the last query, I wanted the user ID, but now I wanted the movie ID. Movie ID, then the maximum rating, minimum rating, average rating from the movies on the basis of movie ID, group by movie ID, and I have limit that record to 5 so that it can display on the terminal easily. So now you can see my mapper job is executed successfully 100% and my reducer's job is executed successfully. So now you can see it has given the movie ID and then the average, minimum and maximum rating as per the need, which is we have executed in our query. This was our query where I wanted movie ID, then the rating like maximum, minimum and average rating. So we have seen the arithmetic functions also in this use case where we have used maximum, minimum and average, how we can use in high on the basis of movie ID and group by movie ID. So this is how we can get our results using the join on two different tables. So once this query is executed, our result is displayed as per our need. In this session, we have seen how we can get the record from different queries from the table which is used by joins.